So what we're going to do in the reaction rate lab is we have these 3 different wells, and we're going to follow these instructions and put the different amounts of, we have hydrochloric acid, HCl, we have water, and then we have sodium thiosulfate, Na2S2O3. So I have these in little dropper bottles. I have hydrochloric acid, HCl. I have water in a dropper bottle. And then I also have sodium thiosulfate in a dropper bottle. So what I'm going to do is, according to this table in well 1, so actually I'm going to put the hydrochloric acid in this row. So in this row I'm going to put 12 drops of hydrochloric acid. In this row I'm going to put 6 drops of hydrochloric acid. In this row I'm going to put 4 drops of hydrochloric acid. And then in this well, in these wells here, in well 1, I'm going to put 0 drops of water. I'm going to put 8 drops of sodium thiosulfate. In this well, I'm going to put 6 drops of water and 8 drops of sodium thiosulfate. And then in this third well, I'm going to put 8 drops of water and 8 drops of sodium thiosulfate. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to time this. So I have this timer. And what we're going to do over here is we're going to report how long does it take this reaction to happen. The reaction starts when I move the hydrochloric acid into well 1. The reaction ends when I can't see the X anymore. So once the X is gone, then the reaction is over, and I'll write down the time. So let's go ahead and start. We'll add the drops to our wells. So first, I'm going to, because HCl is in the first row, I'm going to go ahead and add. So I've got hydrochloric acid. Let's upside down. Hydrochloric acid I'm going to add to this well. I'm going to put 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've got 12 in that one. I'm going to put 6 in the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this one I'm going to put 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so right off we can tell in this trial we are going to put we're going to put different amounts of hydrochloric acid. So we're changing the concentration of the hydrochloric acid in this table. Okay, I'm going to put water, and I have enough water to balance. So 12 plus 0 is 12, 6 plus 6 is 12, 4 plus 8 is 12. So I'm keeping the total volume of the reaction the same. So in the first well, I put 0 drops of water. In the second one, and this is water. In the second one, I'm going to put 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then in this one, I'm going to put 8 drops of water. Let's make sure we have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we've got our reaction, or water, and then the next one is sodium thiosulfate, and that's this one. And they're all clear. I'm going to put 8 in each, the same amount, and it goes in with the water. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and then I'm going to start my timer when I add these together. So here we go. I'm going to pipette all of the hydrochloric acid up, and then add it all at once and push start. So we're watching when this reaction, when we can't see the X anymore, then we'll record our time. So we can see it's starting to go. I'll just push stop when I can't see the X. Okay, that looks pretty good. I can't see the X anymore. So I'm going to write for trial 1, this first well took 26 seconds. Okay. All right, here we go. The next one, I'm going to pipette all. So let me reset. And if I put all of the hydrochloric acid up, and then push start when it adds. And remember, we have the same total drops in each of the wells. So that's important to keep the concentrations correct. So it's starting to get cloudy. Again, we're watching for when the X goes away. The X disappears. So it's getting close. I can still see it though. I'm gonna push. You can still kind of see the. Okay, I'm gonna call that the end. So 37 seconds. Okay, so it took longer. All right, and then the last one, I need to reset my timer. I'm gonna scoop up all of the hydrochloric acid. We've had 4 drops. And then add that here and push start. Oops. Okay. Okay, you can still kind of see the X there. Okay, I think it's gone. All right, I'm gonna write 45. Okay, so that is done. Now I'm gonna wash out my well plate. I also have to dry my well plate really well because I'm using water to keep the amount of volume the same, so I don't have an extra water in my well plate. So I'm going to dry it out really good. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing again. This time, now that we know what we're doing, this time you're going to record when you think the X has disappeared. And then we'll find an average also. So I'm going to set it up again. I'm going to put hydrochloric acid. I'm going to put 12 drops in this well in the second row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oops. Oh, I messed that one up. I forgot what I'm doing. I need 6 in this one. So let me dry that out. Okay, there we go. Now we're putting 6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the last one is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our hydrochloric acid. And the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to put water. So 0 goes in here, 6 in here. So here's our water. 0 and then 6. And then 8. All right, we have just enough. And then the last one, we are going to add sodium thiosulfate. We need 8 drops. This one is the same, 8 in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So I'm going to reset my clock. And again, you are going to record in this column when you think the X disappears. So I'm going to pick up the hydrochloric acid. I'm going to push start when it's in there. So when the X disappears, you can go ahead and write the time in trial 2. Okay, so for sure by now the X has disappeared. So I'm going to push stop and I'm going to reset that. So you decide when that was. And then I'm going to pipette this one, scoop all the hydrochloric acid up, and then I'm going to push start when I add it. So when the X disappears, this is the second well. So go ahead, when the X disappears, that's the end of the reaction. Go ahead and write how long that took. Okay, for sure by now that has gone. So you decide when that happened. And then I'm going to do this last one. I'm going to scoop up all of the hydrochloric acid in my pipette. And then I'm going to add it and push start. Okay, when you think the X has disappeared, then you write your trial time in the third box for trial 2. Hey!
Hey, I just brought back some balloons.
Okay, I'm just doing a makeup lab. No, you're good. Thank you. Okay, so by now that should have gone. Okay, and then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna move on to the next table. So I'm gonna rinse this out. And this kind of sticks to the well plate, so I gotta make sure it's really clean and then also dry it out really well. Okay, so now we're on to table 2. So table 2 says we are going to change. So look, we have 8 drops of hydrochloric acid in each well. We have 0 drops of water in one, 6 drops and 8 drops. That kind of sounds like the same thing that happened up here. And then we are changing the number of drops of sodium thiosulfate. So we've got 12, 6, and 4. So we're just switching what we're changing. Up on the first table, we switched amount of hydrochloric acid. Here, we're switching the number of sodium thiosulfate drops. So I'm going to go ahead and add hydrochloric acid to the second row. I'm going to put 8 in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. So we've got our water, or our hydrochloric acid. The next one is water. So we have 0 in the first well, 6 in the second well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And then remember, the water is just there to make sure that the volume stays the same. We want to keep the same volume. That's important to keep our concentrations changed. All right, the last thing is the sodium thiosulfate. So we're going to add 12 in this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I'm going to add 6 in the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the last one, I'm just going to put 4 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now we're going to do the same thing. So when you think the X has disappeared, you go ahead and write the time. So I got to reset my timer. Oops. And we'll do this one first. So we're going to do trial 1 of well 1. So I'm going to suck up all the hydrochloric acid and then add it in here and push start. So when you think the X has disappeared, you go ahead and write the time down. Okay, for sure it's gone by now. If you need to go back and look, you can do that. I'm going to reset and we'll do, so that was the first one. We filled in this box. Now we're going to do this next box. So well 2, trial 1, table 2. So suck up all the hydrochloric acid and then add it to this one and push start. So when that X is gone, go ahead and write down the time. All right, it looks like it's gone by now, so somewhere in there. So we've done these 2. Okay, we're on the last trial 1 for table 2. So I'm going to reset my clock, my timer, and then I'm going to suck up all the hydrochloric acid with my pipette and then add it and push start. And once the X is gone, you should put it in this box, the time. All right, for sure it looks like it's gone by now, so I'm going to push stop. So we should have all the numbers for trial 1. If you don't, then go back and figure out when the X disappeared. I'm going to rinse this out, and we'll do the next trial for the table 2. Okay, and then I gotta dry it out really good, so I don't have any extra water in there to change the concentrations. Okay, so same thing, but now we're in the trial 2 box. So to set this up, I need 8 drops of hydrochloric acid in each of the wells, in the second well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got hydrochloric acid, and then I'm going to put water in the first row. So we need 0 in the first well, 6 in the second well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I need 8 in the third well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then to keep the volume, that was to keep the volume the same. And we're going to add our sodium thiosulfate. I'm going to put 12 in the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to put 6 in the second well. And I'm going to put 4 in the last well. Okay, and then the reaction starts when we add the hydrochloric acid. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to use my hydrochloric acid pipette and soak up the hydrochloric acid and then push start. Okay, so once the X goes away, write down the time for well 1 in this box here. All right, let's do the next one. So I'm going to soak up all the hydrochloric acid, add it to this one, and push start. Oops. And once the X disappears, you're going to put it in this box. All right. And then our last well for our table 2. So I'm going to reset my timer. And then I'm going to add my hydrochloric acid to the other well. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then when the X disappears, you're going to write the time it took in this box. Trial 2, well 3. Okay, it should have, looks like it disappeared. So go ahead and let's also talk about how to average. So if it's in seconds, we can just add them up. And then because there's 2 of them, we're going to divide by 2. If they're in minutes and seconds, so if this one was like 1 minute and 10 seconds, and this was like 1 minute, I didn't watch. Maybe this one was 1 minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to say this is 60 seconds. This is 60 seconds plus 10 seconds. And we'll add all of those together, and that'll be 130. And then we'll divide by 2. That will give us, what will that give us? 65. And then that is 1 minute. So we can divide this by 60. That'll give us 1 minute and 5 seconds. We have 60 seconds and 60 seconds and then 5 left over. So 1 minute and 5 seconds left. So for all of these, you'll have to go back and find the average. Okay, we're on to our last table. So this one, we're going to do something different. The samples are going to be cold. Cold samples. And notice we have the same concentrations of hydrochloric acid and sodium thiosulfate as table 1 and table 3. So these are the same concentrations. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare the results from table 2 and table 3 to see what happens if the samples are cold. So let me watch this well played out. Okay, so now we're down here on the cold samples. So we're going to do the same concentrations, but now I have my samples. They've been sitting in a beaker of ice solution. So they're in this beaker. They're in a big container. The ice has partially melted, but we still have some ice in the big bucket. So these are the same samples. We've got sodium thiosulfate, we've got hydrochloric acid, and we have water in little droppers, but these have been chilled. So I'm going to set it up the same way. I have hydrochloric acid I'm going to put in the second. Let's go back. I have hydrochloric acid that's going in the second row. So So let me grab my hydrochloric acid. I need 8 drops in the second row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I've got my 8 drops of hydrochloric acid. And then I'm going to put my water. So remember, water is just to keep the volumes the same. I don't need any in the first well. I'm going to put 6 drops in the second well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to put 8 drops. Oh, let's see. And 8 drops in the third well of water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And then the last one is the sodium thiosulfate. We need 12 drops in the first well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12. 6 in the second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 4 in the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then I'm going to put these samples in the cold water so that they will stay cold between our experiments. All right, so then I'm going to put my timer over here. And again, we're going to see what happens when they're cold. So go ahead and write down the first well. Once you think the X has disappeared, go ahead and put that time in that first trial one. So select up the hydrochloric acid, add it, push start. All right, so that X is gone. So at some point before now, that X has disappeared. Okay, here we go. The next one. So add our hydrochloric acid. And once the X disappears here, you're going to put that time in this box. How long do you think that? Or when do you think the X disappears? Okay, so at some point the X has disappeared. So whenever you thought that was, write that time down. And then our last one. for the table 3. I'm going to suck up the hydrochloric acid and add the hydrochloric acid to well 3. And then push start. Oops, there we go. So once the X disappears on this one, you're going to put that in this box here. So write how long it took for the X to disappear. Okay, so at some point, this has turned cloudy so that we can't see the X anymore. So make sure you have that time down that you think it turned cloudy so you couldn't see the X. And then I'm going to get this ready for one last trial. So again, we're going to use our cold samples. So hopefully it's pretty obvious what happens with our cold samples, with the time, how long the reaction takes if it's cold. Okay, so now I have my clean well plate. I'm going to pull out my samples again from the ice. And I'm going to set this up again. So I need my hydrochloric acid. I need 8 drops in each of the wells. So we're not changing the concentration of hydrochloric acid here. So I need 8 in the second well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I've got my hydrochloric acid. The next one is water. I'm going to put that in the first row. We need 0 drops in the first well. I'm going to put 6 drops in the second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put 8 in the third well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the last one is the sodium thiosulfate. So I need 12 drops of the sodium thiosulfate in the first well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then the 6 in the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 4 in the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And now I'm going to start my, reset my timer. And then once the X So now we're in trial 2 of table 3. So once the X disappears, go ahead for the first well and put that time in that first box. So I'm going to add my hydrochloric acid to my reaction. Okay, so somewhere in there, the X disappeared. So go ahead and write when you think the X disappeared. I'm going to reset my timer. I'm going to add my hydrochloric acid to my water and my sodium thiosulfate. And then push my timer. And once the X disappears here, you're going to write your time in this box. I'm doing a lab.
Okay,
I'm recording.
come back later.
Yeah, thanks. All right, at some point the X disappeared. So go ahead and write what you think when you think the X disappeared. Let me reset our timer and we're on the last trial. So I'm going to put the hydrochloric acid with the water and the sodium thiosulfate. And again, so we only have one box left. Once that X disappears, you're going to put the time that it took for the X to disappear in this trial 2, well 3 box. All right, so at some point that X disappeared. So whenever you thought that was, go ahead and write that. And then remember, you need to calculate the average time. So how long did it take on average between our two trials? Okay, I'm gonna rinse out my well plate and I'll be done.